So yes, woken up today and it still did really happen yesterday. Forest went to Anfield and beat Liverpool by 1-0. Nothing like that has happened since man landed on the moon. But it happened yesterday. But that's not the only interesting fact from the game. I got some absolute bangers for you. Welcome to some facts and my match analysis on Liverpool 0, Forest 1. Let's get into it. As you guys already know, I am never wrong when it comes to my football predictions, especially when I'm talking about new players that are going to make it in the game. So when MECARREIRA reached out to me and asked me, with all this profound knowledge you have, why are you not cashing in on it? I had to ask them how. And this is when they introduced me to MECARREIRA. MECARREIRA is a game-changing website where you can invest in players a bit like you can buy stocks in a stock market, but the beauty of this is it's based on your football knowledge and which players you think are going to make it. So for example, if you think Elliot Anderson at Forest is going to be the next big thing, then you can invest in him now and potentially watch his stock grow. You can buy and sell completely securely and completely safely on their platform with just a click of a button. And the prices of these players will change in real time based on the market demand on them. So make sure you go check MECARREIRA out. And on top of that, if you want to invest in any players that are not there, you can vote for them on the voting system as well, just like you can do with our boy Morgan Gibbs White. So go sign up to MECARREIRA right now. It's completely free to do. All you need to do is either scan the QR code that's on the screen or click on the link that's pinned in the comments down below and go start making yourself some money on your football knowledge with MECARREIRA.com. So guys, go check out MECARREIRA. I've already invested in the likes of Saka and Anderson, and I'm already making some money off that. I love this concept, so go check it out. Scan the QR code, as I said in that video there. But let's jump onto some more money-making stories, and that is Forest. Forest yesterday was sensational, but Forest this season have been sensational. Let me start you with fact number one. Fact number one. I don't know if anyone's been talking about this or not, but there are only 2 teams in the Premier League who have not spent a single minute behind in any game so far this season. And that's Arsenal, who have only played 3 games, and Forest. We are so good right now at defending and blocking out people from scoring that we haven't spent a single minute behind. Arsenal still have to play Spurs later on, so hopefully Spurs get the first goal just so that we can then glow even further and say Forest are the only ones to do this currently. That includes Man City, that includes Liverpool. After yesterday, they lost that. That includes all the other Cartel 6 and every other team in the league. If I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments below. But what I want to talk about is the tactics, because Nuno got it spot on. Because he did what I told him to do, which was block out that midfield, give him the wide space, and basically frustrate them. And the gaps between the 2 banks of 4 were so perfect because they were very narrow and very compact, which didn't allow runners to come in between the lines or anything like that. But the thing I want to point out is this was not a low block performance. I don't know if any Liverpool fans or channels are saying that that's the case. It 100% wasn't. I'll put a little graphic here for you so you can see the average position of the Forest players. And pretty much outside of Murillo and Milenkovic, most of the team spent the majority of the game in and around the halfway line. And this is actually probably a little bit less exaggerated than it should be, because Forest had to obviously drop their lines back a little bit further as we went 1-0 up and as we had to see the game out. But even with that, what I love was the structure, because even that defensive line that dropped back, the midfield line had no space in between those 2 lines, even though we were slightly deeper. And it was just poetry in motion. Look, we didn't have much possession of the ball, 30%, but we did that against Southampton, or a bit more against Southampton, and we still managed to win the game. And the question really is, where do we go now? We've had, I think, honestly speaking, we should be on 12 points, 4 out of 4. But this was a bonus 3 points that not a lot of people expected to happen, apart from me and Carlos, really. Shout out to Carlos on that. But I didn't even expect a win. I'd have been happy with the draw. And I think the reason I wasn't getting too nervous towards the end of that game was because even if Liverpool conceded, even if Liverpool scored, sorry, I couldn't see them going on to getting a winner, and Forest would have left with at least a point. So, you know, so much positives to take away from that game, but also positives in terms of where Forest are going. And I think this next game coming up against Brighton is going to be the real yardstick to let us know where we are. We're now, another fact for you, 4 away wins in a row. In a row. 2 at the end of last season with Sheffield and Burnley. 2 already this season with Southampton and Liverpool. Anyone who's saying those are weak teams, well, Liverpool have only lost twice at Anfield since 2017. And this one is now their 3rd L that they're holding. So if we can get this through this Brighton game, and they drew with Ipswich yesterday, so they're not really firing that well, or they struggled against whatever Ipswich did. I haven't seen that game, so I can't comment too much. Then we get to Fulham. These are the 2 games that I think tell us where we are. And I think for me, Nuno is starting to turn into the Nuno that Wolves saw, that Dazzling Dave was telling us about when we first signed him. You have to understand that Nuno had a lot to correct at Forest when he inherited it from Cooper. I'm not having to dig at Cooper or anything, excuse me, but there was a lot of mental changes that need to happen, philosophical changes even that needed to happen. Turning a low block team into a mid block counter-attacking team and then progressing them into a possession-based football team takes a lot of time, and it takes reprogramming of these players who are used to a certain particular style of play for like the last 18 months or so. And I think we're starting to see that. But what I'm seeing, and it's a word I used for the pre-season, was professionalism. And that seems to be what we're seeing across these 4 games. Okay, the Bournemouth game is what it is. That probably felt a bit like last season and a worldie against Wolves. But outside of that, Forest have been nearly faultless. Another fact for you, we're now +2 on goal difference. I think this is the only time since we've been back in the Premier League that we have a positive goal difference, as in this season. And it's just a joy to see. And Forest being 4th yesterday, okay, it was only for a couple of hours, but I don't care. It's the fact that we're up at that end of the table on 8 points, while there are teams like Everton and Southampton who are still on 0 points. How long will it take those teams to even get to where we are right now? And technically, we're nearly a quarter of the way to the magic 40 mark. If that's your barometer, there will still be some people who think that Forest should be just making sure they get 17th and anything above is a bonus. If that's your barometer, well, we're nearly a quarter of the way to that already with 4 games gone. And as someone said in the chat yesterday, that if we're averaging 2 points a game like we are currently, that puts us on 76 points. Now, obviously, that's very hard for that to happen, but that would, more times than not, get you in and around the Champions League places, if not comfortably in there. But I'm not going to that extent yet. I'm sticking with my assessment of what I saw of Forest pre-season, and hence why I said 8th. And I think 8th is still a realistic target. Because I saw what we did in pre-season, I've seen the players we've got, but I do think we are 2 players shy of almost not the perfect squad, but a competitive squad. And that's a backup CDM and a striker. And we just had the news as well that Sangare is going to be out for 2 months with a hamstring injury. And that really does probably open the door now for Yates to try and get his position locked in there. I'm still not convinced Yates is a 6, nor am I convinced that he is the answer. But I will say he's had a cracking start to the season and he's played well. Yes, he made the 1 mistake yesterday, but we got away with it. He's got to stop diving down too easily for me. He seems to want to get us too many fouls, and I think referees are starting to suss him out. I want to see that come out of his game, and I'd rather see him develop his on-the-ball skills, etc. So it's probably going to have to be Yates coming in there. But we are lucky that we got strength in numbers in the midfield. We got a lot of CMs, 8s, but not really a 6. So I do worry about that position going forward. And as I mentioned, I still harp on to the fact that I think we should have got a striker. Okay, I didn't want Nketiah. I'd have rather had Jimenez, but he wasn't my number one choice. But we needed something there. Wood for me yesterday was a little bit out of the game because he needs width to help him to get into the game, and we didn't play that for the first 60 minutes or so. And by the time that they came on, obviously he was knackered, and then I think he came off as well. But everything about what's happening at the club now is extremely, extremely positive. I can't stop smiling. I still can't believe we won at Anfield. And this is a Liverpool's team. Let me add another fact for you. That is the first goal they've conceded this season. They've kept 3 clean sheets beforehand, one of them being away at Old Trafford as well. And Forest are the first team to penetrate it. And this tells you that Nuno knows how to tactically set up teams. As I keep mentioning, 7th, 7th, 13th for Wolves. Is he now starting to put it together in a way that Forest can look up the table rather than over their shoulders? So let me ask you guys to put in the comments down below. Realistically, where do you think Forest are going to finish? If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you're new. We got Grumpy Old Reds coming on tonight. It's going to be an extended party session, so make sure you tune in for that. Go check out MECARREIRA. Get yourself investing. Remember, it's completely free to sign up to them. And let me know if you do on which players you're investing in. We'll see you on Grumpy Old Reds later on tonight. Come on, you Reds. 1-0 to the Forest.